Well, cool. Well, you got a lot going on in your life. I'm looking forward to peeling back the layers and figuring out what's going on. So thank you for taking a minute out.
I am so excited to be here.
Me
I'm
too.
ready for the conversation.
Yeah. So before we get into the journey that you're on right now, I
Yeah.
want to talk about the bump in the road that all of us had to deal with 4 years ago. We were trying to figure out this pandemic.
Yes.
How did you get through it, and how did it change you?
So, funny thing about the pandemic is I have a very unique experience with it where I started my business in New York and I decided, I want kind of a different pace. I chose to move to California March 1 of 2020, a
Oh,
week before the pandemic hit. And so, having everything, I'm a pre-planner, so I had everything set up, housing, job, to get back on my feet before diving full into my business again. And the world shut down. And I was like, okay, now we're gonna learn. So I was kind of in the boat with everybody else of, okay, how do we switch everything to digital? Like I was very familiar with using Zoom and things like that, but it was how do I really find people? Because I love connecting with people in person, going to networking and all these different things. How do you do that on a computer screen? Where are you really connecting with somebody? So it was interesting to navigate that and find creative ways. And for me, my business actually thrived more in the pandemic than it did beforehand because everybody was going digital. So it was an interesting ride, but I'm kind of glad it happened, but not all the bad stuff that happened through the pandemic.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. So you're kind of a marketing expert, CEO, founder, entrepreneur, all these things, but let's boil it down to its essential parts. You're in front of a bunch of third graders at career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Yes, so I love this question. I let them know that I'm here to serve people, all people, and get them where they want to go. That's what I do.
What did you want to be when you were in that position in the third grade? What was your dream?
Ooh, in third grade, I wanted to be a dance teacher. I'm a lover of dance and music, and I thought I was going to be on Broadway stages. I
Uh-huh.
was going to be backup dancers for, Janet Jackson. Well, that didn't happen, but
Yeah.
I can still do that on the side in my best life.
Absolutely, you can. So take me back to your childhood. What were the seeds that were planted that eventually became this entrepreneur and highly driven marketer? How did that happen?
Yeah, so my family's all been very driven, very hard work ethic. I grew up in a very small town, primarily rural, so it was all agricultural or trades. And so I got to really grow up watching my parents kind of drive and seek something more than what they had when they grew up. And so I got to see just kind of how they creatively did that and how they picked and choose what they did for work. And it really instilled in me that if I want something, I can get it. I have to put a little effort toward it, but I don't have a limit of what I can reach if I set my mind to it. And so that really helped me. And then seeing them later in life having to work more than one job and seeing the stress that it put on them and just not being able to really live the life as full as they wanted to. I wanted to make sure that I kind of broke that cycle and being able to know if I know I'm not well working for other people because I always have insight, which isn't always as acceptable in some organizations when you have input on how to do things. So I knew I was going to need to have my own business to really kind of dive in and have that creative freedom to be able to do that. But I also wanted to be able to work one job and create a life that I wanted versus having to have multiples. And thankfully, I've been able to do that. And my family are huge supporters of me, and some of my biggest mentors. I still go to them for advice on various things. But I've inspired them now to start their own businesses and kind of do their own thing instead of working for somebody else. So it's been exciting, kind of
Yeah,
role reversal a little bit.
absolutely. So who's been an inspiration, a hero for you in your career?
I would definitely have to say probably the biggest heroes are my grandparents. They're the ones that kind of really instilled, how to create security without creating fear in all things of life. And so for me, I got to see, because they were working primarily in 40s, 50s, so they're much older, and getting to see their insights to how that kind of translated to my parents, and kind of now how we're diving into it, and just to hear their stories of how it was in the old days. And that just makes me feel so happy because I'm a very tight knit person with my family, friends, in that small town kind of nature, that it it just instilled that I can still get what I want, but be as humble and not have to eliminate people from my life unless they're not serving me. But in a sense of, it doesn't matter what level I get to, I can still be a people's person and really connect with anybody at any level.
So on a large scale level, what's one of your favorite marketing campaigns ever?
Ooh, it's an oldie but a goodie. I love the Got Milk because they're just so funny a lot of the time. I love when people can bring humor into things because we need a lot more laughter nowadays. A lot of things have gotten super serious. We've taken out that human element to marketing. And that's something that I really try to focus on, even with my clients, is bring a balance of that human element. And yes, use some of the new technologies and AIs that can support and make things run more effectively and maybe increase your exposure, but don't lose the human element of it,
Yeah.
because that's what people resonate and really connect with most. Because it doesn't matter what you're offering for a service, if they can't connect with you on a deeper level and have that trust, and you know feel confident in what you're offering and that partnership you can create together, it's not going to work, and you're not going to get where you want to go with that. And be real and authentic with yourself. I mean, I've run campaigns with my business that the ones where I look disheveled and I'm just like, this is what's happening today. I'm here to talk with you guys. Those things actually get more traction and more exposure because people relate to it. They can see themselves in it, versus some of the content where it's the premier quality. I'm dressed up, ready to go, all of the finer things in the design elements. They don't get as much traction because,
Yeah.
again, it's portraying this perfect image versus something people can relate to. So having a mixture of those, I think, is truly important.
I actually interviewed one of the guys that was on the campaign for that, and he said it, and I was like, "Wait, wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, the California, it started there because the people weren't drinking milk, and it just
Yes,
blew up from there, and they had no idea that it would turn into a, and who does? Who knows when
absolutely.
anything goes viral? It's
Yes.
weird. Humans are strange with how we make things viral. I read a book on that recently about how things turn into that, and there's
Mhm.
things that go into it, but there's also a lot of mystery, just like,
Oh, absolutely. I think right now, even like where we are in the state of marketing, is, I like to call it the shiny object syndrome. Like, we're all in that sector where,
yeah.
ooh, this new thing here, ooh, this new thing here. And like you said, it makes the most random things go viral.
Hmm.
Like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And really taking a look at it, and it's like they really just went out there and threw something out there to see how it responded, and
Yeah.
it took off.
Yeah.
So it's always intriguing to me
Yeah.
because I'm an avid learner, to like, really, how did that work? I want
Uh-huh.
to know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So let me ask you this. If you could meet one person alive on the planet right now and spend a little time with them, who would it be?
mm, I would probably, I think he may have just passed, unless it's fake news. Morgan Freeman. I actually had a chance to briefly meet him when I lived in New York. Um, and that short little interaction, he was so down to earth and just easy to talk to. I was working for a catering company at the time, and he was being honored at an event, and he came through and shook every one of our hands before he left that night, thanking us for being there and supporting his event. And I was like, that's just a cool dude right there, that's able to have this platform but be so respectful and down to earth to actually come through and shake every one of our hands and thank us for being there, it just really put an impression on me, and just to be able to have a longer conversation with him, I think would be really awesome.
Yeah, he's alive. He gets spoofed on a lot. I used to see headlines where it's like Morgan Freeman's moving to Kansas City. I'm like, no, he's not. He is not coming to Kansas City. He stop. But he was
Yes,
the voice of God. That's why he's so grounded. He was God.
absolutely, yes.
So at the end of the day, what is the drive for you to get up, to do the work that you do, to make the impact, and to also grow as a human? What is that for you?
For me, it's not about the money. It's not about how big can I make my business grow. It's, did I make a difference in someone's life today? Whether it be a small difference, a big difference. I just want to be there and be intentional and be impactful with the people that I'm surrounded by and able to serve, because I have a skill set that I can do that with. That's the big driver for me. I don't need to become a millionaire. I just want to be able to help people who need help and get them where they want to go.
So of all of the campaigns and all of the things that you've done in your career, what's one of your favorite ones?
I had a client who she wrote a book, and it was her first time publishing a book, and I got to really be with her through the start to the end of the entire process of writing, and then going into the campaign process, and we ended up being able to get her on 7 bestseller lists by the end of it, and it was just a joy to be able to see her dreams come to life, because she was also in an older generation to where she didn't know if she had anything left. And so that's what the big premise of her book was, do I still have something to offer the world? And so it was exciting to see her journey along the way, get to know her a little bit more on that deeper level, and just see how many people really connected with her messaging and that they felt the same way. It was exciting to see that.
So of all of the things that you've done in your career, what are you the proudest of?
Hmm. I think the thing I'm most proud of is that I've been able to give back to my family that's given me so much, and to even organizations that were crucial to my childhood. I was an athlete in a very small town where it can be a little tough when everybody knows everybody. And they were crucial elements just to getting me to where I am now. And now I'm able to give back to them. Um, and have the ability to do that is what I'm really proud of.
So let's go back to that version of you before you moved, before you embarked on your career. You have a dream, you run into that young version. You can give that version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What
Yeah.
advice would you impart, and would that young version of you listen?
So I would tell my younger self that you don't have to have the endless degrees, you don't have to have the endless certifications. If you're passionate about something and you have the right intentions with it, you can walk into any room and be able to offer somebody no matter what level they're at. I, when I first started out, definitely had the imposter syndrome, definitely had the, oh, am I able to be in this room? Do I have anything to offer these people? Oh, am I old enough to be owning my own business? And with all of these people who have been in business for decades, can I be in the room with them? And I would tell my younger self, yes, you can. You have every right to be in any room you want to walk into, because you have something unique, because nobody is you. And so you always have something unique to offer to any room that you walk into.
So, Jocelyn, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm a goofball. Um, and I bring a lot of light and humor. So one of the things that actually got, it was feedback that kind of just stuck with me for a while from an event that I was at, was someone called me the sanctuarian. And for me, I was like, well, what does that really mean? Because how can I explain this to people? And they said, when you're in a room and I'm near you, I feel calm. I feel grounded. I feel like I have all the support I'm ever going to need just by sitting and being close proximity to you. Whether I've had a conversation or not, that's the feeling I get when I'm around you. And for me, because of the work that I do and knowing that I work with high level professionals who are that go, 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 that may also be wearing every hat in their business, their HR, their marketing, their sales, their everything. They've got a lot on their plate. And the one thing that they want to have is that calmness and no overwhelm in sight. And if I could provide even a little bit to that, that that just means everything. And so it kind of really embodied what the sanctuarian meant is that I'm creating a sanctuary of calmness to every client that I work with.
I love it. That's a great answer. So if anyone wants to hire you, reach out, learn more about you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yes, so you can definitely go to our website, which is jflowersmarketing.com. But we're also on every social media platform, so please reach out, connect with us.
I love it. Jocelynn, this has been great. Love the energy, love the whole thing. I really appreciate your time. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Joe. It was a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.